What's up, everyone? David Seven Skies here, broadcasting from the Seven Skies Mansion, and welcome to the third chapter of the How I Made Salvatore Ganacci Talk Seven Skies remix series. Today's going to be a pretty quick video because I'm going to talk about the bass, and the bass in this song is actually super simple. As you can see from the project, which is going to appear now. As you can see from the project, it's just 4 channels. Actually, the main bass is actually 3 channels, and then there's a drone bass that sits in the breakdown. And so let's dig right into it. Okay, so first of all, let's play the main bass in the drop. Alright, you got the idea. So basically, like I said, 3 layers, one being a very distorted and like high frequency sounding bass, one being something a little bit more in the middle and a little bit warmer, and one being the main bass, which is actually the sub, which is what you can actually hear the most within the song, because then there's the chords on top of it, and so it all sort of like gets hidden behind the chords. But let's start from the top, and at the top we have my little baby here, GETLOW once again. Initially it was the Mini Moog by Arturia, but then I sort of like replicated the same sound with GETLOW with a real Moog that I had, and so I was like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna use this because it sounds better. And we have a low cut, but it's only on the side. So here there's some mid-side stuff going on, which I don't really know why I did it. It might have come from a preset or something like that. Let's mute this bass, and this is how it sounds. What's funny about this is that this bass actually has a 4/4 sidechain, and that's because sometimes I actually like to give some extra movement to the sidechain, to the bass, even if there is a kick that is not 4x4. So this, I don't know, this sort of gives a very fast feeling. To me, it always sounds a little bit like it's rushing through, and sometimes if the drums are a little bit too slow, you still want to keep the tempo, the feel of the tempo being a little faster. And a 4x4 sidechain helps a lot. I wouldn't suggest it on like the main element unless you really want the effect to be noticed. But on some elements, you can sort of get away with it. All right, there's a compressor, but I haven't used the compressor. That's pretty much it. Very simple. Then we go to the main sub, which is massive, and it's my preset once again from the future. Once again, I told you this song was supposed to be a demo song for my Sunset the Future, so that's why there's so much massive in this song, and this is how the sub sounds. Right, so there's a couple of things you can obviously notice here. The sidechain here is insanely heavy. That's because the kick in this song is pretty big and pretty bassy. So I needed to have a sidechain that would literally kill the whole bass sound when the kick was hitting, because otherwise it would have created a giant mess. Then we have a glue compressor that is sort of like keeping everything in place, especially when there's note changes. And then there's this EQ that's basically what's making this bass a sub bass. So if I turn off the EQ, this is how the bass sounds. Actually, let me turn off the compressor as well so you can hear how the whole thing sounds. Right, so you can hear that the sound doesn't sound at all like a sub. It's a normal bass. It's a very like future housey bass. Has a lot of harmonics. But it had a really nice bottom end and a really nice grit to it. And that's why I used it as a sub. A lot of people always look for subs when they are trying to find a sub, but sometimes you know, you want to experiment with how a bass sounds with all the frequencies just cut out. So you know, just you can get an EQ that looks pretty much like this. So you cut out all the highs and you boost the lows, and then you just brush through presets, and pretty much everything is gonna sound alike because obviously you're filtering out all the frequency that might be like the major character of a certain sound. But you might find out that, you know, the bass sounds better in certain presets than other. Another very important thing in this preset is actually the portamento, and you see it's set to always. So let me play. So you hear this like glide or legato, whatever you want to call it. That's like pitching up and down the notes, and that gives a lot of interestingness to the whole bass part. So it sort of like moves the whole track, especially when he changes the notes. And you obviously hear it a lot when it plays the different octaves. And but yeah, once again, I'm only keeping the very low frequencies of this layer. And then we have this other bass that it's actually very, very important. And this is like a more distorted, like dubsteppy-ish kind of thing. And here you can see that what I'm actually doing is I'm changing the envelope, because right now I think it's envelope 1. Yeah, so basically I assigned envelope 1 to this macro, and I liked the way that the envelope was working on the filter in this part here, but in this exact part I wanted something a little bit slower, something like more like a slower growl, and that's why I automated it. That's gonna slow down how it affects the cutoff, and so you get this like wah, this slow wah sound. So this layer is very, very important. It sort of adds a lot of character and a lot of energy to the whole bass. You can't really hear it in the demo that I did for the future. You could hear it way more than in the remix actually, but that's because obviously in the demo I needed to showcase the sounds a little bit better. Another like crazy EQ over here. I obviously cut a lot of the bass, because we've seen that there's this main sub bass over here that has plenty of bass, and a little dip on the mid lows as well, and then a big boost in the mid highs or mids, and then the high frequencies. Once again, the compressor here is actually working with the kick. And yeah, if I bypass everything, you can tell very well how much the envelope here is affecting the cutoff. So yes, nothing crazy here, right? And this is actually it for the whole drop bass. Now the final bass is a Reese type of bass, which plays the breakdown, and this is a super simple Reese bass. As you can see, there's literally nothing on it. It's just massive. It's this drone preset, something that I do quite often. It's basically a detune saws. nothing crazy at all, but it works really, really well, especially this preset is one of the presets that I use the most. Now on the whole bass group, once again, we have the SSL channel strip. I already explained in the previous video. All the main channels in this song have this plugin. We'll see why when I'll talk about the mix in this song. But basically, just a little bit of boost on the 90 Hertz, a bit of boost on the 2.5, and boost on the highs, and then I compressed it a little bit, I guess. Let me check. There's like 3 dB compression, just a tiny bit. And then there's this thing that is very, very, very important, which is basically adding a little bit of distortion and saturation to the whole group of the basses. And if I turn it off, you can tell it changes in volume, but it also adds some harmonics. This mic preamp in the SSL from UAD is actually super nice. I use it a lot. Sometimes I even use it in mastering. I think I did a little video on how I use that mic preamp. Actually, let me show you how it sounds without the SSL. It sort of like takes the life out of it. It's obviously a lot of it is obviously volume, so you think it's better just because it's louder, but there's actually a lot going on with it. Just more bass, it's a little bit tighter, and like I said, this mic preamp just gives it a lot of nice crunch and harmonics. And now, as a last plugin, we have R-Bass, which is something that I rarely use, but in this case, like, I wanted this bass to be huge. I don't particularly like the R-Bass, but sometimes it's a real lifesaver, and in this case, it actually delivered. So let's play it with and without. I don't know how much you can hear. I have a sub, so I can actually hear there's a big difference with it. But yes, this just gives like a little boost on 58, 60 Hertz. This is actually the bass, probably super simple, nothing too crazy, just my presets, like pretty much the whole track. And yeah, this is literally just it. Let me know what you do for your basses actually, especially the subs. Do you like to just have clean sine waves, or do you like to just get random basses and then cut all the highs and use them as subs? And obviously, if you learned something new, if you like this video, please put a thumbs up. And for me, David Seven Skies, see you next time. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.